Hello, Mr. Ben. I'm Chris.
Hi, Mr. Ben. I'm Hilight.
And today, as Director of Urban Development, and
Yes, I'm the Urban Resilience Manager.
we will be telling you about the negative effects of urbanization, how it is described and portrayed in The Good Earth, how it's relevant in the world today, and how it might be addressed, which both of us would be tackling. Now, first off, in the Good Earth chapters 11 to 14, Wang Lung's family migrated to the southern cities in order to flee starvation. However, while the city itself did not face famine, it flooded Wang Lung's family with a myriad of problems. These issues include, but are not limited to, poverty, homelessness, inequality, and lack of security. When moving into the big cities of the Jiangxi region, Wang Lung's family faced many immediate challenges. First of all, is homelessness or living in horrible conditions. Because when they first moved into the city, they barely had any money to spare. So they were forced to just buy cheap mats and just make them into a hut of sorts. And they lived in this hut in like a slum area of the city with lots of huts. And and they had like no condition. They had extremely horrible conditions, no running water, and they slept in the mud crabs, which are extremely horrible conditions, which show how moving into the city and urbanization can lead to many people living in such conditions, and it's connected to real world problems such as migrant workers having to live in uh, prison like dormitories or shanty towns, similar to the quote unquote village of huts described in The Good Earth. Additionally, Wang Lung's family were reduced to brutal grunt work or begging, as Wang Lung had to pull rickshaws all day and break his back doing that. Actually, not literally break his back, but like uh, metamorph metaphorically, like he was very tired of doing all that, and even though he had to pull rickshaws all day and Olan and the kids had to beg all day, they barely had enough money for rice in the morning. Again, this shows how migrant workers from the countryside or other countries in the real world today are worked to the bone yet paid very small sums of income. And the implicit issues of urbanization shown in The Good Earth is, first of all, discrimination against the migrants, such as when Wang Lung was looked down because he was a country bumpkin or a stinky northerner who reeks of garlic, as the Southerners describes. Because the reason they look down at him like that is because the city people, they are richer, so they feel themselves superior. So when people move in to find work, they are discriminated against, like Wang Lun does. And this is similar to how rural Thais or Laos and Burmese people are discriminated in major Thai cities. Another problem is wealth inequality, which is shown when uh, it's described that the Southerners loves eating pork balls, and in like the big cities because they had the wealth to do so. And it's not even like the rich houses, just like normal city southerners. But Wang Lung can't even get enough rice to get 3 meals a day, which shows inequality. And in the real world, it's also like this, not only in diet, but also in neighborhoods. Like in our world, we see gentrified neighborhoods and slums. And finally, lack of security, as seen with the crackdown on revolutionaries. Sorry if the typo there. And as seen in Wang Lung having to go into hiding for some of the chapters due to the chaos and lack of security in big cities. Now, how do I propose to tackle this? So, for all of these issues, I have had some solutions which I shall propose. Firstly, affordable housing of quality must be built or rented out and sold to migrant workers or people moving into the countryside. So, instead of sleeping on the streets and shanties, they have a secure place to live in. Secondly, we have to reform legal code so that labor laws also apply to migrant workers who abuse exploitation, such as right now in Thailand. Or like the US is a good case because the Mexican migrants there, a lot of them are paid below minimum wage. So if laws are also applied to migrant workers like them, exploitation will reduce. Thirdly, we have to raise awareness on how migrants or people who are from different backgrounds are also human and the same as us to reduce discrimination, like the discrimination shown on one lung. Fourthly, taxes should be levied on land, capital gains, luxury goods, or things that that affluent people have and needy people don't have in order to distribute growth. So to reduce the wealth inequality that is always present in urban cities. And finally, I propose that we should institute relief programs to deter migrants from a life of crime alongside rolling out harsh punishments to discourage criminal activity, and not just for migrants, but for everyone as a whole, in order to make cities secure and safe for everyone involved. Thank you.
Yep. Wow. Thank you, Chris, for sharing possible ways to address the issue of urbanization. So before we implement the solutions itself, why exactly does the negative effects of urbanization matter right now, right? So right now, the negative effects of urbanization are most visible in places such as the cities themselves. Air pollution, PM 2.5 that we're experiencing right now tends to concentrate where traffic, industry, construction happens a lot, right? And in these dense area, which increases serious health risks like asthma and heart disease, especially in low and middle income regions. At the same time, cities can grow economically while inequality still deepens. Without affordable housing and reliable services, we believe that the cost of living will continue to keep rising, and access to clean air, water, and healthcare becomes unequal, particularly for migrants and the urban poor. Next slide, please. Yep. So, apart from this, why the negative effects of urbanization matter right now at a more global scale, right? We view that another reason is because
Hey, sorry. Is this the correct side? Sorry, I just now because my screen froze.
all good, all
So
good.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it is the
It's good, right? Okay,
Yep, it's
sorry.
the correct one. No problem. One other reason this issue matters globally is that infrastructure stress shows up in everyday life. When transport, drainage, power grids, and waste systems are overloaded, small problems quickly turn into major disruptions. Flooding can shut down roads, as we've seen in Hilight, Thailand. Outages affect hospitals, and transport failures disrupt work and school. As extreme weather becomes more common, these breakdowns reveal how fragile many cities already are and have been negatively, profoundly impacted by urbanization. Yep, so next slide, please. Yep. So apart from that, we also see a very risky aspect of this, which has been further perpetuated by climate change. We view that climate risk is increasingly becoming urban risk. As cities expand into floodplains, coastal areas, and heat-prone zones, more people are exposed to heat waves, flooding, and infrastructure disruption. This risk is much higher in informal settlements. Rapid urban growth often outpaces housing and services, leaving low income residents in areas with weaker buildings, poor drainage, and limited legal protection, making them especially vulnerable to climate hazards. So, let's move on to the next slide, in which we'll touch base on an SDG that is relevant to urbanization too. So, SDG, that we want to emphasize today is actually SDG 11, which talks about sustainable cities and communities, which gives us a clear way to understand this issue. Its goal is to make cities inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. When urbanization goes wrong, cities usually fall in these exact areas. Housing becomes unaffordable for the marginalized, transport unreliable, disaster risk increases, and public spaces become inaccessible. That's why improving cities is central to solving global inequality and climate challenges, as Chris has also mentioned earlier. So, building off of Chris's idea, how can this issue of urbanization be properly addressed? We'll explore this in our next slide. Yep. So one key solution is to plan inclusive cities, not just bigger ones. This means involving residents, especially those in informal settlements, and prioritizing basic services like water, sanitation, drainage, waste management, and safe electricity. Instead of displacing communities, cities can upgrade informal settlements. Securing land tenure and improving building safety reduces disaster risk and improves health without pushing people farther from jobs. Clean mobility and compact growth also help cut congestion, emission, and commute inequality. So, this is why we resort to the usage of public transportation, for instance. Another idea, which is on our next slide. Um, yep. Okay. Yep. Sorry, I think it's just glitching. Yep, all good. That's the slide. So another idea as to how we can address this issue is how cities can also reduce risk through a mix of green and gray infrastructure. This looks like trees, parks, cool roofs, permeable surfaces, and stronger drainage systems, which helps reduce heat and flooding. But these solutions must avoid causing displacement through rising costs. So these solutions should be affordable to people of various socioeconomic classes. Finally, stronger air quality and health protections are truly essential. Monitoring pollution, tightening emission standards, and protecting vulnerable groups like children, the elderly, and outdoor workers can significantly reduce the health impacts of urban living. And on to the next slide. This is all of the resources we've used to support the yeah, the ideas that we presented earlier.
All right. Thank you so much for listening to our presentation.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Ben. Thank you, Chris, for sharing.
Uh,
Bye.
Thank you.